Hi, my name is Lauren Ravas, and my science fair project is called the Stooop Effect Explored. So my problem was, does the color of a word affect the speed of different age and gender groups saying them? And so I remember when I was in like third grade, we just did this fun little experiment slash project where we took a list of colors and they were written in a different color, and we just had to see how fast we could say them. So it's like a little competition, but it was just fun. And I later found out that this was called the Stooop effect. And I was thinking about this when I was deciding on what my topic should be for science fair. And I thought it was a really interesting topic because color and like art is a big part of my life. So I just thought I would explore it more. So my hypothesis was when we test different age and gender groups on how fast they can read lists of colors, the youngest girls will have the fastest times. So how I went about this was I started with my background research and I found out that color affects people in every way possible. It's kind of crazy. So sunlight, color comes from light, and sunlight doesn't actually have a color, but when it reflects on objects, the object absorbs all of that color except the color that we actually see. So objects don't actually possess color, but the reflections make the brain see that color. So this process starts in the cornea, and the reflected light enters the cornea, and then the light is bended towards our pupil. And a controlled amount of light hits the lens, which focuses the light onto the retina of our eye. And then information is transferred into the retinal ganglion cells. The cells then pass to the geniculate nucleus. And then the last stop is the primary visual cortex of our brain, which is where we can then distinguish what color. So us humans are trichromats because we have three different cones. And you would think that like they're the primary colors, but they're actually red, green, and blue. And so obviously each cone contains a different color or pigment. And these three colors of light can create millions of different colors visible to our human eye. And our eyes are estimated to see about 10 million colors, which is pretty crazy. And there are two different types of cells in your eyes that react to light, and they're both obviously called photoreceptors, and one are cones and the other ones are rods. So rods respond when lights get dim or darker, and the cones detect the color. So in the real world, they make purchasing and marketing decisions with colors. Like that's why like some like signs are like red, or like something that's like eye grabbing or like attention grabbing. So it is a thing that people notice first, and most people categorize color in the way that they see it. Color can also affect people's health. This includes growth and development, or even heart disease, because like the different lights that you get during the day. So seasonal depression, like people think that's like just like a myth, but it's actually not, because like one like would say like a cure to it would just be going out and going to see sunlight, because it's like depends on how much light you get in the day that can affect your mental health and even your physical health. So color has negative and positive ways of reinforcing lives. People should know the effects of color on the brain and the body. So my procedure, I typed a list of 18 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and obviously 3 times in black using the same font for all. And then I typed a second list of the same 18 colors, but making them the color of the word that it is. So like if I wrote the word red, I would make the text in the color red. So I typed a list using the same 18 colors, but the color of the word would be a different color than what it actually is. So the example is, I wrote the word brown, but obviously the text is gray. So obviously I would have my participants sign a human consent form and sit down, and then I would give them one of the lists of colors, starting with the one written in black. Then I would tell them to start, and I would time when they started reading one of the lists and ended when they were done. And I would repeat steps 6 and 7, but replacing the list of colors in order of black writing, color written in the same color, and then colors written in the different colors. But on that last chart, there would be I would be measuring 2 things. So on the last list, after they read off the word written down, you would do another time trial of them reading the color that the word is written in to test more into the cognitive thinking skills. So I would repeat steps 4 through 9 with all participants and make sure to record all of the data. So just for a visual representation, here are the lists that I use. So as you can see, the first one I used, all of them were written in black, and I told all of my participants to read from row by row, left to right, just as you would read a book. And the second list, obviously blue, yellow, purple, they're written in that, like what they are. And the last list was purple, yellow, red. So the first one I would measure them reading purple, yellow, red, but then the second one I would have them read orange, red, and green. So my results, when I compared age and gender group times all together, I was really like, this graph really just showed the times of the different sections of time trials I took. So the color of the word written was the last thing that I measured, which it significantly took a longer amount of time. As you can see that every single other one did, just because this makes sense, because obviously you have to think more because it's not what you're used to. So this is why black writing took the least amount of time, because when people read books or something off their computer, like usually it is written in black and you'll be reading it left to right in a row. So this is what people experience every single day. So that's why this was the fastest time. And then it went in order of black writing, same color writing, word written, and color word written, to see how long the times were. They went shortest to longest amount of time. And then we just compared age group times in this, and we can tell that obviously they all struggled with the last one. And overall, the teenagers had the lowest time, so they were the fastest. And then it went, so teenagers, adults, young adults, elderly, and then young kids in average. And then the last time we just compared gender times, so female and male, and it's not like a significant amount, but the males took a slightly longer amount of time than all the females did. The females did a little bit faster in every single one. So in my conclusion, my hypothesis was not supported by the data I explored, but we know why now after I found out all these results. And the teenage girl group had the fastest times compared to the other groups. The average times of females completing all lists is 0.95 seconds faster than the males. Both teenage groups, male and female, were faster in all categories by 3.77 seconds compared to the other groups. The word written in black had the fastest times with an average of 7.31 seconds for all participants. We know why. The slowest average time for all participants was 18.03 seconds for reading the color that the word was written in on the third chart. The last category took an average of 9.89 seconds longer than all of the other ones, and the cognitive thinking levels were displayed well with the results of the experiment, because even though age and gender groups had different times, they all struggled with the most difficult challenge because it took more thinking required. So the things that I could improve on were definitely, because of the pandemic, I couldn't see all of my 30 participants in person. So I had some people do it over Zoom. So I would share my screen and they would be reading it off pixels, while some people would just be reading it on paper. So this was a variable in my experiment that I should have paid more attention to, but I couldn't really control it. So, and then also for my hypothesis, I could have improved on that because I did not really think it through, that the young girls that I were measuring some of them were new to reading, so I just didn't think that through. So, and how I could continue with this, I could specifically focus on females and really specific times of, not times, but specific ages, instead of a wide range from because some were a 10-year age range or some were a 20-year age range. So I could really narrow that down and focus on that. And so how this could benefit society, this expands people's knowledge on how people, how fast people can read things, so depending on the color of the text that is written in. So obviously we know that books should definitely, or anything that someone would want to quickly read, should be printed in black, but this could obviously just be how we grew up reading. So we obviously know that authors should not start printing their books in different color words. But this could also affect like things like billboards or something, because when you're driving, you like quickly glance over if something grabs your attention and you have to read it fast because you obviously have to keep your eyes on the road. But so these definitely should be printed in black, like the writing itself, so then they can read it fast enough. But yes, this definitely affects purchasing decisions and marketing decisions, and this definitely can benefit society in ways that signs or posters or billboards or things like that.